Hi, I'm Alex Paulton. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. Today, we're going to take a look at this really nice Glycine Airman SST. It's a relatively new reissue of an older model from Glycine's back catalog. Now, Glycine has been purchased by Invicta, but it's nice to see that they're still trying to keep their own identity. I believe Invicta's letting them do that because obviously Glycine will bring up the Invicta brand. Let's hope that Invicta does not bring down the Glycine brand. So let's turn the camera around. But before we do, please remember to subscribe. It really helps the channel. At least leave a like. I appreciate it. So let's turn the camera around and take a look at this interesting watch. So here's the new Glycine Airman SST. As I said, Glycine is a company with a tremendous amount of history. Started in 1914 in Switzerland. They made the first GMT pilot's watch in the 50s, beating both Rolex and IWC and, well, everyone to being the first GMT dual time zone pilot's watch. And the Glycine has been used by astronauts, by combat pilots in Vietnam. It really has a tremendous, rich legacy. And there were a lot of people who were worried that Glycine was going to go the way of the Dodo once it was bought by Invicta. But it appears Invicta has bought Glycine to improve their catalog. And Glycine does have some weight, but then Invicta has a name as well. Let's hope that Invicta doesn't drag Glycine's name down, but Glycine helps bring Invicta's name back up. And actually, this is a good watch for that. The Glycine Airman SST is a reissue. So, I mean, that's one of the things that a lot of companies are doing lately is going to their back catalogs to find older designs that did well and that people liked. The old Glycine Airman, in fact, the old Glycine Airman SST, in fact, sells used for several $1,000s. And this model new is about $900. They do have it in a chrono that costs more, but I did not have an opportunity to get my hands on one, so I couldn't review it. But it is a reissue. It looks like the original SST. It's not trying to be a different watch. It really is a reasonably faithful reissue to the original SST. Now, it does have a screw-down crown. And as far as GMT functionality goes, the flying hand is the GMT hand. And then the date in the other direction. Here, let's zoom in, let you get a better look at that action. So the date in one direction and the GMT hand in the other. So this is what people would call an office GMT because it doesn't have a flying local hour hand that you can change while traveling, but it does have a flying GMT hand, so you can set it for whatever second time zone you want. And as far as it goes, it's very visible, even though the colors are relatively subdued in this version. They have one that also has a very bright orange city wheel, but I wasn't a big fan of that. I actually like these colors on the dial, and that's one of the reasons I got this model. So in case I don't sell it, I have myself a nice piece that I enjoy. But this is actually a great GMT travel watch. Not a traveler's GMT in the sense that you have to set it when to set the local hour hand by hacking the seconds, but it's a great travel GMT in that we're only talking about $900 worth of watch here, and it's a very good GMT. And it's a world timer in the sense that you can do the on-the-fly world time calculations using the inner city wheel. And this is kind of a compressor design with the inner bezel control and outer. So it's got a nice presentation. They could have made it so that you had to turn the city wheel, but this goes back to the original Airman SST. This is actually, like I said, the case shape and all is very, very reminiscent of the original Glycine SST. And let's see. Whoops, go to millimeters. It's a 43, and it's I've got it at 11 and change, but I've got the back slightly loosened so you can, because we're going to take it off to see the movement. So let's take off 0.5 millimeter on that measurement. But it's a really nice looking piece. Let's do a quick wristwatch check. I'm wearing my Omega Globemaster annual calendar, which is a phenomenal piece. I really like it. One of the most favorite in my collection. And that noise is just the back loose, don't worry. And the watch sits well. The steel, they say it's steel. It doesn't look coated. It looks more anodized, but it does have a nice presentation. And if you wanted a dark watch to toss into the collection, to just have a dark colored watch, because some people like to have one black watch or a dark gray or graphite or whatever. But this is a nice looking piece. It sits well on the wrist. I have an 8-inch wrist. It sits nicely on it. I think it's because of the short lug width, which reminds me, what is the lug width? The lug length. Lug to lug. This is a relatively svelte 46, so so it sits nicely because it curves down sharply. The end links are nicely. It's not an integrated bracelet, but the end links are nicely integrated into the body of the watch. So very nice looking piece. Now it's a Sellita base movement in here. The back of it has a image of the Concorde, going to the SST roots. Oops, wrong direction. It's just a clean back, like I said, SST logo. And there's the movement. Now, what I like, it's always a nice touch when they decorate the movement, even if they don't intend to show it to you. I like the fact this has a metal spacer also. So it has a metal spacer, Sellita base, but it's nicely decorated. It's well put together. I definitely would say that this is a worthwhile watch. I mean, I would almost look into maybe getting an aftermarket display back, but of course for a $900 watch, I strongly doubt there are any aftermarket display backs, and I don't know if it'd be worth the trouble to have somebody modify it. But for, automatic, mechanical, world time, GMT watch, so it is a really attractive piece. Especially, like I said, when you consider the fact that we're talking about a $900 watch here that is automatic, mechanical, world timer, GMT, and it looks pretty good too. I think that this goes definitely into the buy list. And as I was saying, it's a good knocking around watch for going to places where you're traveling and you don't trust where you're going. No one's going to cut your arm off for this watch, but it's very, very visible, works well, and lets you travel. So let's turn the camera around and close out the episode. That was the Glycine Airman SST, a really nice reissue, and definitely a watch that Invicta can be proud of. It's worth the look. You may even want to buy one, and it's definitely worth the money.